Yeah, the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, has actually arrested the former president of Burkina Faso. Why? Because according to the news, he seems to be in connection with the West, who are actually undermining all his efforts of making Burkina Faso great again. I've always said the problem of Africa is nothing but Africans. Like, we Africans are the problem of Africa. Africa is poor. Africa is like, so many things happen in Africa. All is because of we Africans. Someone like Ibrahim Traore is working effortlessly to make sure that Burkina Faso, the country, is free from external control and external powers and manipulations. Yet, internal people who supposed to join force together with Ibrahim Traore is somewhere working with the West to undermine all his efforts, and this is the reason of his arrest. Just watch this video to the end and see for yourself.
What was done with Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso or Muammar Gaddafi of Libya when they announced to distance themselves from the West and join the West's enemies? Well, in one way or the other, they were assassinated. Both were wiped out using betrayers from inside the country, ultimately removing the threats that could end the West's hegemony. And guess what? Burkina Faso's current president, Ibrahim Traore, is not only precisely following the policies of Thomas Sankara, but going even further. Instead of just announcing, he is getting closer to Russia and North Korea, importing weapons and calling Russian soldiers to train Burkina Faso's army. For the West, it's a nightmare because Ibrahim Traore can ignite a chain reaction, encouraging other African countries to do the same. That's why, for the West, Ibrahim Traore has to be taken care of. Until now, there have been various attacks on him and coups to overthrow him. It was not known who was doing all that and who was behind the closed doors, pulling the strings. Welcome to a new episode of Black Afric Diary, a channel where we talk about Black African history, culture, arts, and civilization. It's a place where you will see the real picture of Black Africa, its stories, and the events defining it. In this episode, we will tell you who really was behind the coup attempts against Ibrahim Traore and which country was backing them. Let's get started. The man behind the attempted coups and attacks on Ibrahim Traore is Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who briefly served as the president of Burkina Faso after leading a military coup in January 2022, which removed then-President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore from office. Damiba rose to power with promises to tackle the country's growing insurgency, a pressing issue for the people of Burkina Faso. However, his failure to make any real progress in controlling the insurgents and restoring stability led to a loss of public confidence. By September 2022, his presidency came to a swift end when a younger, more energetic military officer, Captain Ibrahim Traore, led another coup, toppling Damiba from power. Since his ousting, Damiba has been motivated by a desire for revenge against Traore. But this situation goes beyond personal vendettas. Reports suggest that Damiba's ambitions to reclaim power involve aligning himself with foreign powers that have a vested interest in maintaining control over Burkina Faso's valuable resources, particularly its gold reserves. By forging these external alliances, Damiba seeks the support and resources necessary to undermine Traore's leadership and regain control of the nation. We will explain more about this in a moment. But first, let's know what's happening now is not new. Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba's alleged plot to overthrow Burkina Faso's current leader, Ibrahim Traore, draws strong parallels to one of the most tragic moments in the country's history: the assassination of revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara. Sankara's own deputy, Blaise Compaoré, betrayed him in 1987, orchestrating a coup that led to Sankara's assassination and Compaoré's rise to power. The story of Compaoré's betrayal is etched into Burkina Faso's history, as he took advantage of his proximity to Sankara to seize control and impose a long authoritarian rule. Similarly, Damiba's attempt to remove Traore from power appears to follow the same pattern of betrayal from within. Much like Sankara, Traore is seen as a leader of a new generation, one who is trying to reclaim Burkina Faso's independence from foreign interference, particularly from former colonial powers. Damiba, who was ousted by Traore in a coup in 2022, seems to be taking a page from Compaore's book by attempting to eliminate his successor through internal plotting. What's different this time is that Traore was fortunate to survive the alleged assassination plot, while Sankara, tragically, was not. If Damiba's plan had succeeded, Burkina Faso might have seen a repeat of its 1987 coup, where a former ally of the president used betrayal as a stepping stone to power. However, Traore's power and the loyalty of his security forces likely protected him from falling into the same trap that claimed Sankara's life. But how did all this happen? Well, Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba has been caught red-handed plotting to overthrow his successor, President Ibrahim Traore. However, this isn't just another coup attempt. It's a high-stakes power struggle that could reshape the trajectory of Africa. Damiba's motivations go beyond personal revenge for being ousted in a coup. There's much more to his actions than meets the eye. Damiba's return is not merely an effort to reclaim his former position. It's a calculated move backed by hidden forces who are alarmed by the rise of African sovereignty. These forces fear that African nations, especially under leaders like Traore, are moving towards a new era of independence from foreign powers. It's easy to paint Damiba as the villain, the man who couldn't relinquish power after being overthrown. But what if he's not the true mastermind? What if Damiba is merely a pawn in a more elaborate scheme orchestrated by far more powerful players? Well, that turns out to be the truth. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. To fully understand the situation, we must analyze the broader geopolitical context of Africa. For decades, Western nations have treated Africa as a game, manipulating its leaders to serve their own interests. This has resulted in a series of puppet governments that prioritize foreign interests over the needs and prosperity of their people. Damiba's recent coup attempt follows this pattern. It appears to be a product of foreign promises and backing from powers eager to maintain their grip on Burkina Faso's rich resources and influence. Damiba's plot comes at a particularly telling moment. As Traore gains popularity and shows signs of steering Burkina Faso towards greater independence, Damiba suddenly resurfaces with a plan that reeks of foreign interference. Burkina Faso's military, long riddled with officials loyal to Damiba, has been a haven for those who benefited from the corruption of the old regime. These insiders seem willing to sabotage Traore's efforts, raising the question, are they conspiring with foreign powers looking to regain influence in Burkina Faso? Investigating the financial backing behind Damiba's latest move reveals disturbing insights. Some reports suggest that Western nations, particularly those with an interest in Burkina Faso's vast mineral wealth, especially gold, are covertly supporting Damiba. If Damiba succeeds in staging a coup, he won't just be restoring himself to power. He will also open the door for foreign powers to reassert control over a region that is increasingly rejecting external dominance and striving for self-determination. In simple words, he would act as a loyal man, proving himself as a Western friend. But why are the elements and betrayers against Ibrahim Traore becoming obvious at this precise moment? Well, that's because Ibrahim Traore is closing doors for all Western countries, and even their puppets who could wield some influence in Burkina Faso. Therefore, with no option left, the operation against Ibrahim Traore is no longer hidden. That's because Ibrahim Traore has used his ideas to make Niger and Mali follow the same suit and declare true independence from the West. Given this, the West believes the chain reaction could impact the entire continent, with African countries openly negating to follow Western orders. Traore embodies this shift, and Damiba has become a tool for those who fear the consequences of an empowered, self-governing Africa. But the more pressing question isn't just who is backing Damiba, it's why. Why does Traore pose such a significant threat to these hidden forces? Captain Ibrahim Traore isn't just another leader looking to secure power. He represents something much bigger, something that alarms Western powers. An African leader who isn't seeking validation, approval, or aid from the usual foreign entities. Traore has boldly stood against both internal adversaries and external pressures, uniting the people of Burkina Faso behind a vision of true national sovereignty and self-reliance. When Traore took power, he didn't just assume leadership, he embraced a historical moment. His rise represents a break from the old narrative of African dependency on foreign aid and influence. His leadership is a direct challenge to the cycle of external control and internal dysfunction that has long plagued many African countries. For years, Western powers have meddled in African politics, often supporting leaders who align with their interests. Traore disrupts this paradigm. He isn't interested in continuing the tradition of relying on foreign aid or succumbing to external influence. Instead, he is charting a new course, one that prioritizes the people of Burkina Faso over the interests of foreign investors and power brokers. This shift is why Traore is viewed as a threat by Western powers. If he succeeds, it sets a dangerous precedent for Africa, one where nations no longer need to rely on the financial and political crutches provided by foreign governments. Traore's movement is about more than just political power. It's about reclaiming Africa's autonomy, something that the West has historically sought to undermine. Moreover, Traore's focus on military reforms and national unity stands different from the chaotic image often portrayed by Western media. He understands that unity is key to defending Burkina Faso from both internal insurgencies and foreign interference. By strengthening solidarity within the military and across the broader society, Traore is laying the foundation for a stable, self-reliant Burkina Faso. He has already made a military alliance with Niger and Mali, which will defend if any of these countries is attacked. Therefore, the West's anxiety over Traore isn't just about his ability to stabilize Burkina Faso. It's about his potential to inspire similar leadership across the African continent. Western powers fear that if Traore's model of sovereignty and self-reliance takes hold, other African nations might follow suit. The idea of a united, empowered Africa rejecting old colonial ties and asserting its independence sends chills down the spines of many in the West. But Traore's revolution isn't just about defying external powers. He's also fighting battles within his own country, against forces that have long profited from instability. Damiba's influence may still run deep within Burkina Faso, but how much of a threat does he pose to Traore's leadership? Well, even though Damiba's coup attempt was foiled, his supporters haven't disappeared. These are the same individuals who thrived under the old regime, benefiting from corruption and enjoying privileges at the expense of the people. Damiba's attempt wasn't just about seizing power again. It was about protecting the corrupt system that has kept Burkina Faso in turmoil for years. These internal forces remain active within the military, government, and economy. They have been lying in wait, hoping that Traore will make a blunder, ready to seize the first sign of weakness. Yes, Damiba's failed coup wasn't just an isolated event. It was a signal to his supporters that their fight wasn't over. What makes this even more concerning is that Damiba's backers are not just rogue military figures. They are connected with local business and political networks that have thrived on corruption for years. These factions see Traore's push for transparency and accountability as a direct threat to their influence. If Traore succeeds in cleaning up the government and rooting out corruption, many of these individuals will see their power evaporate. Instead of allowing the new wave, they want the old system to persist, and for that, they believe Ibrahim Traore has to be replaced. Furthermore, the psychological impact of Damiba's leadership lingers within the military. Some soldiers may have remained loyal to him out of fear, while others genuinely believed in his vision. This creates a complex web of loyalties that Traore must carefully take care of. Failure to win over these factions could lead to further unrest and potential violence. What do you think should be done with Burkina Faso's former president involved in attacks and coup attempts against Ibrahim Traore? Isn't the case the same as Thomas Sankaра's deputy who assassinated him and later replaced him as a president? In the comment section right below, share your thoughts on what Ibrahim Traore should do to ensure his security and survival to do what Thomas Sankara gave his life for. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching.
I've always said Africa, we can do better, we can do best, We don't have to depend on anyone. We don't have to depend on external people to rule us. We are human beings the same way they are. We have one head the same way they have, and all the body parts in them is also in us. So I don't see a reason why we limit ourselves. We think that Africa cannot be better, or our country cannot be better without them. No, we shouldn't place such limitation in us. Africans, remember, Africans are very good people and thriving people, and most especially Africa as a continent is a continent blessed by God. Is a continent after God's heart. Yeah, God specifically made this continent and the people living in it. We are so blessed. Come on. So what now makes you think? What now makes you think we can't be able to rule ourselves, or we can't be able to get things better? What now makes you think so? No, come on. All those things is the perspective they give us in order to subdue us and in order to gain control of Africa as a whole. And as you can see, these people they're actually holding Africa in captive. Okay, this started by slavery. This started during the era where they came in Africa, because all these things, they saw the value Africa was, they saw the worth of Africa, they saw the beautiful things rising from the mineral resources and the loving and kind people in Africa. And and uh, they decided to lose some of these resources. They decided to lose some of these resources in order to make their countries better. You understand? In order to make their countries better and their continents better as a whole. You know. So that's how they started, by enslaving Africans. They started by um, reducing the population of Africa, because they know the importance of uh, human resources. Yeah, Africa is a continent. It's one of the largest continents ever in the world. So all these things wouldn't be possible without first gaining control over the human being. There's no way you can gain access to a vote containing money, like thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, uh, without um, probably killing the security man in charge of the vote, or seeking for a way to get rid of get rid of him. You understand? So the vandalization of resources in Africa, or the looting of most of these resources, wouldn't have been possible without the idea of trying to gain control over the people of Africa. So you see, that's how they actually started everything. They started everything looting Africans, you know, gaining control over all the things happening in Africa, and to the point that they ended up colonizing most of these African countries. Yeah. They ended up colonizing most of the African countries, except few that resisted. Yeah, it's only few that resisted to be colonized, But most of the African countries were colonized by these foreign powers or these Westerners, And they actually, uh, so that's to say that most of these African countries gained their independence from different countries, different Western countries, and most of these Western countries are enriched. Like they got enriched from Africa. They got enriched. They enriched themselves from Africa, and that's why even the former president of France stated that France would have been nothing without Burkina Faso. That's to tell you that Burkina Faso is one of the countries that was colonized by France. Yeah, Burkina Faso was actually colonized by France, and as such, they have the Burkina Faso treasure in their hands. They have their resources. France actually became what they are today through Africa. Should I say with the help of Africa and Burkina Faso, particularly, So that's why even the former president confirmed it. Believe me, most of these Western countries wouldn't be anywhere without what they actually did or what they played in Africa many years ago. So that's why today it seems their countries are better and they are doing well, you know. But that still doesn't mean that everything has finished in Africa. No, all those resources they are still in Africa. Surplus, in fact, they are still surplus. Human beings we are still recreating. We are still getting overpopulated. You know, especially here in Nigeria, which is actually the most populated countries, the most populated country in Africa. Yeah, also known as the giant of Africa. Yeah, and that's what makes Nigeria the giant of Africa because of its populations and stuff like that. And okay, apart from the population, the economy back then, Nigeria used to be the African country with the largest economy, with the highest, largest uh, GDP or stuff like that back then, not now. Back then, I'm talking about back then, many years ago, not now, not now, not now. No. So with all those things, you just have to believe that Africa still have whatever it takes to be progress again. Africa still has whatever it takes to be stable again. But all the best, what we just need, the only thing happening in Africa is bribery and corruptions. Bribery and corruption is actually eating deep in Africa. Almost everyone is corrupt. Even me and you, even you watching me, when you look at it, you may even be corrupt. Yeah, you looking at me, watching me. If you look at it, you may even be corrupt. But um I mean, I'm talking about Africa. Yeah, almost everyone in Africa is corrupt except me. Yeah, except me. I'm not corrupt. So, but then when you vote people to represent you, when you vote the leaders, give them position in a political or give them political power, you know, to make things better, to make lives better for everyone. Everyone voted for them to make things better, to make the economy better and things affordable for the common man in the society. But then when they are sent to the throne or to the position, they turn back at those that actually voted for them, which is very bad. It's very wrong. And many rigging, riggings, people rigging election just to uh, just to take some political powers, and all these things boil down to looting of resources, looting of resources, and actually embezzling money, embezzling money. And when all this money are being embezzled, like when all this money is being embezzled, it is being channeled towards the Western countries. Yeah, the same countries that actually looted Africa many years ago, we are still looting ourselves and taking those money, those resources down there. Is which is very sad and pathetic. To be honest, it's very sad. But then this corruption has eaten deep in Africa. The populations of Africa, and despite the resources Africa is being possessed currently, Africans are still battling with basic amenities. Africans are still battling with their lives. They are still surviving hard in a hard way, which is very bad. And no one actually cares. The leaders are don't actually cares. They don't care. They all they could do, or like all they know is how to collaborate with the Westerners. The same people that caused that the same people that caused this pain to Africans many years ago. The greedy Africans are still collaborating with them. To loot more of resources, and this is why countries like Niger, that is Niger Republic, Mali has joined hands with Burkina Faso to say no, we are not ready anymore. We are tired of this external control. We want to do our things. It's very wrong for we to be in our country and you are ruling us and you have positions. You are giving us political orders of things we should do and things we should not do in our own country. Come on, it's very wrong. So these countries has come out to form a military alliances. What does these military alliances do? I mean, what is the importance of forming military alliances? It means that this country are now like brothers and sisters. I have always said this is how African should be. This is actually how African should be. I really don't know what ECOWAS stands for. Yeah, ECOWAS, which is the body holding all African countries together, joining all African countries together. I really don't know what their work is. Like, they are all still interested in the political. Well, it's also a way of getting Western interest, stuff like that. Because I see no reason why we have a body joining all African countries together, and yet we can't still stand uh, for each other. We can't still fight, join hands to fight these Western manipulations and Western controls, and external controls is very unreasonable. So, but meanwhile, countries like Mali, Niger Republic, and has joined hands with Burkina Faso, yeah, to form a military alliances. What these military alliances means is that when you eventually provoke one, you have provoked the rest. You understand? When you provoke the head, the tail is crying. When you provoke the tail, the head is crying. That is to say, when you touch the head, the tail is rolling. Yeah, who does that? So that's what the alliances is actually mean. It means like they now have each other's back, and in that way, no country can trespass their boundary. No other country can come into their country and do anyhow. When you eventually provoke one country, the rest will come after you. They will join forces and fight you till they defeat you. This is definitely what is needed in Africa. I've always said it. This is what's needed in Africa. Africa need to come together and see ourselves as one. We need to come together, collaborate, have each other's back, and most especially love ourselves. The reason why it seems that the Western people are progressing more than the African people is because of the love they have for each other, and they make their countries, with that love, they make their countries better. But look at South Africa. There is no love in Africa, the leaders, you vote for them, they turn their back at you, and start treating you bad. Is that so? So tell me, how do you think the country, or yeah, or how do you think the country or even the continent will progress? Uh, is 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 as a continent progress by different countries in the continent progressing. When Nigeria is progressing, South Africa is progressing, Ghana is progressing, Cameroon, Kenya. All those different African countries are progressing. Yeah, that we place value in the continent as Africa. Yeah, Africa we has pride. Coming to Africa, you will now be like, you are traveling abroad from Europe to Africa. You are really traveling abroad, and it will be very difficult. Just the way it is very difficult for Africans to travel over there in Europe. So, what do you think? So, like, what do you think? Don't you think what Niger Republic, Mali is doing with Burkina Faso, don't you think is very necessary and very good? What do you think? Share with me on the comment section. Remember, the Burkina Faso president, known as Ibrahim Traore, has over the time been fighting the Western powers, Western control and external control, trying to seek a way that they will run their affair by themselves and not being controlled by people in France. You understand? So, to me personally, I think this is the right thing all African countries to do. We all should join forces together to make things better, to make lives like to have each other's back. By so doing, the Westerners even they will be afraid. They will really be afraid to troop into Africa anyhow. But then, what do you think about it? Do you think what these countries joining forces together, or forming alliance, military alliance together? Do you think is necessary for African progress? What do you think? Me, I think it's very necessary and important, and I think it's a way forward in Africa. But what do you think? Let me hear you. Let me get your opinion on the comment section. And don't forget, like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.